So here we go, game number one getting underway. Here we are on the Cloud Fortress from the TLAF map making competition that they had. 7 maps chosen, tournament getting played on those maps now. So we're going to take a quick tour of the map as the game does get underway, just to familiarize you, the viewers at home, with the map. So we do see right here, as we'll just go from Noblesse's point of view, as we leave out into the main, go down to the natural. By the way, very cool architecture on the map, I really like it. Have your pretty easy to take natural right here. Do have some destructible rocks at the front of your base that do create a smaller choke on this small ramp here. But there also is a secondary ramp over here that does not have any destructible rocks, so your opponent still can't get over towards your main without having to go through that choke, where you do have a third base up on this plateau location. Then just kind of go towards what would probably be one of your most logical fourth base places that you can go. You do have this base right down here. You have yet another regular natural base over here. Both those could be potentially taken as a fourth. This is probably the most sensible third in most cases. And of course there's a Xel'Naga tower here on this low ground area. Then there is another Xel'Naga tower on this low ground area. And down the center of the map is actually a high ground area with a bunch of ramps on it. And then at the tops of the high ground areas there is 2 bases, one at the top and one at the bottom down a ramp. So you see Czech doing the normal stuff for a Zerg player in this TVZ matchup, getting his hatch first. Pool already down here for Czech as well. No gas taken just yet. Over here for Noblesse, we do see that he has built his first barracks, kind of a old Makarak style of barracks, kind of built it off to the side there. Going to be setting his Marines straight forward towards his opponent. Does have them rally forward right away. Is going to be moving and scouting out right now. Already going to be trying to take out this Overlord. This could actually be a huge loss here for Czech in the early game. Never as a Zerg player do you want to lose these Overlords in the early game, but I do believe he's going to be able to get over this cliff area here before the Marine will be able to take it out. But then you see right there, Noblesse is going to raise up his barracks so that he can have spine to high ground. That'll make it a lot harder for Czech to get this Overlord out of there. Already down to 34 hit points. Going to be extremely close to see if he can make it survive. And no, it is going to go down. Loses the Overlord. Real heads up move there by MvPNoblesse, realizing that losing a little bit of barracks production time in exchange for that Overlord would be huge in the early going of the game. As you can see now, Czech supply blocked very early on by that move by Noblesse, so very smart move by Noblesse. You can see right now, can't even get his queens out. Queens are not even producing, just this one bottom queen producing right now. Needs to wait for this Overlord before he can really get anything else done. Now going to be poking forward with an SCV to get a good scout of everything that Czech is up to. Not going to see a whole lot going on at this point in time as the first queen does come up. A couple of Marines actually moving forward already here for Noblesse, so it looks like he maybe wants to try and get a little bit aggressive, realizing that he did supply block his opponent, maybe figuring there might be less defenses available. Does have that expansion command center down, going 1 racks into expand. Very bold move there by Noblesse, considering how wide open this is. Not actually even walling that off at the moment, even going to be adding on a reactor up on the high ground for this barrack. So kind of interesting building placement here for Noblesse early on. Not really walling off this front choke area at all of his natural, just kind of leaving it open with a bunker to defend. Do see that SCV trying to poke in, but down to 2 hit points, not going to get a whole lot done. Czech building a couple of Zerglings now. We're moving out to try and take that SCV out. Look at the income tab, we can see right now Czech just now pulling out to a lead, but if you actually notice that just before he went up to 30, it was actually extremely close. That supply block that Noblesse was able to get with killing that Overlord was pretty huge. Do have the metabolic boost on the way. Does have gas for layer, but has not gone to layer just yet. Still building a lot of drones at this point in time. Layer just now getting started up. You said we do have the double gas in the main here. Now adding on a factory. Looks like it's going to be going reactor factory. It's going to be going a couple of Hellions. Might even actually be going to reactor factory here very early on. So this could be implications that he could be going for a mech build. We'll have to wait and see. He's going to add a tech lab to this though, so we'll have to wait and see if he goes mech. But 2 factory normally early on in the game is normally one of the biggest indicators that a player is going to go for a mech type composition. Normally don't have any reason to get 2 factories this early on unless you are going to be going very heavy mech type of play. So we do see those Hellions going to be running up over here towards the main. No spine crawler completed just yet. Does have this 1 queen over here to defend though. Looks like he is not going to risk actually trying to engage. It's kind of weird how that fog actually kind of masked those Hellions. You can hardly see them at all in the side of that fog. 2 more Hellions now on the way, and then of course Noblesse probably is going to try and want to poke in if he can. Probably not going to be able to do it though. All he'll really be able to do for the time being in this game is just try and deny creep tumors. As you see the scan going down, we'll pick off one of these creep tumors. Here comes Check with the Queen. That is going to force Noblesse probably to back up for now. I don't think he's going to want to try and get too aggressive. Might try and get aggressive though once he does have his Hellion count up around 8 to 10. A lot of times when players are going mech type of builds, once you do get around that 8 or so Hellion range, you can just go for run-bys and actually still get a lot of damage. And needs to be careful though, actually holding his Hellions in range of that single Spine Crawler. Spire now is on the way here for Check in his main. See that Spire just now going down. Is looking like he is going to be saving up right now to try and go to Mutalisk. Doesn't want to allow Noblesse to really be able to get a lot done with a mech type of composition. Over here in Noblesse's base, you can see he has built a supply depot wall now at his natural front. Tanks on the way as well. Do see the second factory is getting moved around here, and now is going to be adding on some barracks. So it looks like he's going to be actually swapping out of this early mech opening, and it's going to be going more of a standard, just tank marine type of composition. Just wanted to get a lot of Hellions out early on by going a little bit heavier on the factories early on in order to be able to apply some pressure. Trying to take out this Baneling nest here. With this placement of this building, my Check, if he actually doesn't deal with these Hellions, they will eventually kill this Baneling nest. By the time it pops, it is going to only really have a couple of hit points. You see there being forced to cancel it. Evolution Chamber going on. Now we'll tuck that away back behind that single ledge. We'll have the Mutas now on the way as the Spire does finish up. Does have a macro hatchery up as well to produce a little bit of extra Zerglings and or drones later on. Has some Zerglings ready to defend in case those Hellions do go for a run by, but we do see a push here now by Noblesse. Now, these pushes can be pretty effective, although typically they are a lot more effective if you do some damage to the Zerg player with those Hellions. So the fact that he hasn't really done a lot of damage to the Zerg player early on might really decrease a lot the effectiveness of this push, but he might be just trying to go for a container early on. We'll have to wait and see how he's going to set this up. Actually sending that tank dangerously that far without any of the other units really supporting it just yet. It is going to be starting to work on the front here now. Check does have quite a few Zerglings kind of hanging out. Does not have Baneling speed, so it's going to make Banelings less effective. But here comes the Mutalisk, and they're actually going to be able to clean up all the Marines, not going for a run-by with those Hellions. And at the same time, Tank is going to get cleaned up. Zerglings are going to chase all of these Hellions into the main and are going to clean them up. Not going to be a whole lot of worker kills here for Noblesse, and that might have been a pretty big mistake early on by Noblesse, losing that many units by getting too aggressive without really having done any damage with those Hellions whatsoever. And Check was just completely ready for it. So you can see the supply differential, 86 to 111 right now, as that really did hurt him a little bit. 59 Harvesters to 50. So income-wise, though, we do see that Noblesse is very well off. Those Mutalisks now moving around the map, looking for a way into the base to see if they can try and poke and do some damage. Probably going to be able to pick off a supply depot. Not going to probably be able to get two. Actually, just barely does not get that supply depot. SCV will move over there to repair. But here comes some Zerglings now. Going to just try and attack in and take out these Marines. Not sure this is going to be the best idea. Could actually give the advantage back if he attacks in there and loses too many Mutas. But thinking better of it, backs off now. We'll once again resume poking at those supply depots. Supply depot is going to require some more SCVs to go over there and repair it. Does pull those forward. Third base now on the way for Check as well. Does also have the +1 flyer upgrade on the way. Just building a lot of drones right now. Do have Stim still on the way for Noblesse. Does not have Stim yet. Delayed a lot of those essential marine upgrades when he did go with that heavier Hellion composition early on in the game. Combat shields on the way and his +1 as well. Looks like Check wants to try and poke back in here. Might want to find a different angle to poke in, though. Right now, those Marines are defending that area pretty well. Going to try and take out this refinery if he can. The Marines do move forward, and actually, they kill the refinery themselves. Might have been a bit of a misclick there by Noblesse, actually taking out that refinery himself. But nonetheless, game will continue. Just one refinery short there for Noblesse. Actually hasn't replaced it yet, surprisingly enough. He's going to want to get that back up. We'll want to eventually switch into some Thor production or something that he can deal with the Mutalisks more easily later on in the game. We'll see a lot of turrets currently going down for Noblesse as well. As Mutalisks now going to be swinging in over towards the main here for Check. Check does have Burrow on the way now, Baneling speed on the way, as well as his +1 carapace for his ground units. A couple of Marines going to be able to stop these Mutas from really being able to poke and do a lot of damage. Noblesse does have quite a few turret pairs up in his base, so it isn't going to be easy for him to push out. Needs to be careful with these Mutas. Doesn't want to get them pinched off. Could take a lot of damage from these Marines, and then would be in a lot of trouble. Not really enough Zerglings to push this army. Not really sure what he's going to be trying to accomplish here with these Zerglings. Really should consider backing up and conserving his army and getting some more reinforcements in. Is trying to take a fourth. Probably going to be forced into canceling that, but we'll have to wait and see. Really needs a little more Zerglings than he actually currently has if he is going to try and engage this army. These Zerglings are going to get shredded so fast, and then he'll just end up losing all of these Mutalisks. These Marines do now have stim and combat shields, so they're quite considerably a bit stronger, and it looks like he is going to actually just try and go for a run by it, but there is a tank and a bunker left behind here. Not sure if he's going to be able to take that out with the Mutalisks. And he does manage to take that out, though, so he will break the front, at least temporarily. Those Mutas now going to be going into the base, trying to do some damage. Will be able to potentially pick off this orbital command over here at the natural, but the SCVs all moving to repair it. At the same time that this is going on, we see Noblesse just moving out. Will be able to take out the 4th base. A couple of Banelings trying to get to the Marines, but easily stopped there by Noblesse. There's too many Marines for those Banelings to really do a whole lot of damage without any support at all. And now the Mutas are going to be forced to back off. This could actually be a little bit of a problem here for Czech. You see him morphing in a lot of Banelings now over here by his 3rd base. And right now Noblesse wants to get aggressive, has a good amount of siege tanks up. They are currently only 0-0. So Marines are 1-0 with that +1 armor on the way. The Zerglings, though, just with 1 armor, no extra attack. That does make the Banelings a little less effective against these Marines with these combat shields. So we'll have to wait and see how this actually ends up panning out. A couple of reinforcements here by Czech getting picked off. Now moving forward with a couple of his units. A little bit disorganized, though, but coming back in from behind as well. Cleaning up a lot of the units from behind it. It looks like Czech will hold this. Going to clean up this entire army of Noblesse, and now the supply is going to be 141 to just 55 Noblesse. Noblesse is going to be in a lot of trouble here in this game number 1. Czech now out to a huge lead, getting a very good position there on that army. Managed to take everything out. Got a good flank from behind and from the front with some of his units. Took everything out. Now, Noblesse is by no means out of this just yet. He does have enough Marines to defend from the Mutas alone for a little while, but he does have a gap over here in the front of his base, so he's going to need to be careful trying to take a 3rd base, not actually pulling that 3rd base back, even though Czech actually is not even going to, pardon the pun, check for that 3rd base at this point in time. So Czech right now out to a huge lead, 147 to 72 supply. Really, at this point, if he can get up a 4th base, would be his game to lose. Needs to get some drones over here to this 3rd, though. Has not really been able to drone that 3rd up very much at all. Very oversaturated at his main at the moment. So really does need to take care of a few of those little macro things a tiny bit. Looks like he is going to be trying to hide a base over here up in this corner. Yes, that is going to be the case. Does have map control right now. Mutalisks right now are at 2-0 upgrades. And we do see the Marines trying to position themselves to maybe catch these Mutalisks as they leave the base. Czech going to need to be careful. Retreats those Mutas for now into a location where they will be safe. But it is kind of trapping these Mutalisks between the main and that army. Balling the Mutas up to make them more effective. Now going to move in. Easily takes out the 1st turret. Will easily take out the 2nd turret. Actually probably could have easily taken out these Marines if he wanted to. Taking a couple of extra losses maybe past what he needed to. And now he's going to start working on doing some damage over here in the main that will probably force Noblesse to bring a couple of more Marines into the main here. Or these Mutalisks will be able to just too easily take out very small numbers of Marines. You see a couple of Zerglings now getting trapped here. We'll kill a few of them over in this area of the map. Do you see the Mutas now moving in? Want to try and take out this 3rd. Noblesse trying desperately to get this 3rd up. Here comes the rest of those Marines to defend. And right now that is kind of trapping Czech's Mutas in between a rock and a hard place. Does not really want to engage these Marines. Does have a little bit of a knot over here. Might take a little bit of damage. That probably would be better than the alternative. 4th base is almost on the way here. Has not moved to Hive Tech just yet. Still just sitting on Layer Tech right now. More upgrades, though, on the way. Does have the +2 carapace along with the +1 armor on the way for some of his units. Actually, I think this is the +1 flyer carapace that he's just now starting. So, not starting a +2 carapace for his ground units. Might actually be able to take out this 3rd, though, and does take it out. Czech right now, Noblesse had retreated some of his army just momentarily, left it open, and Czech took advantage of it, took out that 3rd command center. That was a huge loss for Noblesse. Noblesse really needed to get that 3rd command center up if he had any hopes of getting back into this game. Probably going to be a big drone transfer to this 4th and not too long. But we do see a lot of Zerglings now streaming forward as well. Needs to be careful with these medevacs. Doesn't really have enough Marines out here, but here comes the rest of the Marines trying to get a good position here on all of these Zerglings. If you could take out this Mutalisks pack and reduce the number of Mutas that Czech has, it would make life a lot harder for Czech to try and end this game. But with the army out on the map, that is going to leave his natural completely undefended. And he's going to be able to take out all these SCVs. Now pulling the SCVs, and there's the GG, and Czech is going to win game number 1. These guys will be going into a game number 2. This is a best of 3. That game going to be coming up in just a moment.